praise, honor, and glory to the Lord God Jesus Christ. I want to tell you about something that's really exciting going on in America right now. Most Americans are just looking at the political landscape and they're saying, how did we get into this mess? Well, we can get out of this mess if we could put a good, godly man in the White House, and that man's name is Alan Keyes. Dr. Alan Keyes is a true Reagan conservative. He served as an ambassador under President Ronald Reagan, and Ronald Reagan watched this man work, and he said he is the most stout-hearted defender of America I know. Alan Keyes can do great things for America, and does America ever need it? 15 years ago, Mother Teresa came to this country, and a journalist asked her, Mother Teresa, of all the countries on earth you visited, which is the poorest? Without a second's hesitation, she said, this one. We are morally bankrupt, and we need a godly man to lead this nation. Billy Graham's wife said it so very well. She said, if God doesn't punish America soon, he'll have to apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah. I went into an office a couple of weeks ago and I asked some people, I said, would you help me get Alan Keyes elected to the presidency? And they laughed and they said, why would we waste our votes? I got to tell you, I laughed harder than they did. I said, waste your vote? You're talking about voting for John McCain and you call that me wasting your votes? A vote for John McCain, a liberal Republican, and isn't that, by the way, an oxymoron in itself? Don't you remember the last election? It was 2 months after the election before anyone could count the votes. It was that very close, and George Bush had the support of Christian conservatives, the absolute bulwark of the votes in the Republican Party. And John McCain has alienated people such as James Dobson, John Hagee, Rod Parsley, and more every day. And every time he does that, bing, there goes 7 million votes. Folks, a Christian conservative can be elected by the Republican Party, but a liberal, non-Christian liberal, and I say non-Christian, I'm going to give you some evidence of that in just a second. Let's look at Mr. McCain. First of all, he signed 2 bills that were absolutely ridiculous. One was the McCain-Kennedy bill, and that was to grant amnesty to illegals. And then they passed the McCain-Feingold Act, which is the most egregious assault on the First Amendment right since the Constitution was written. Oh my goodness gracious. And John McCain was in a debate with Alan Keyes and George W. Bush. And George W. Bush said something about, well, we need to protect life except in these circumstances. And then John McCain was asked, well, what would you do if your daughter came home with an unwanted pregnancy? And he said, well, we talk about it, my wife and I. And then it would be her, here comes the optimum word, her choice. Her choice. The man's pro-choice. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to stop abortion in America, and the most outspoken advocate for life in America is Dr. Alan Keyes. Let's do the right thing and get behind Dr. Alan Keyes. And people say, well, what can he do? He's only one man. He can veto any immoral act by the Congress, listen carefully, or the courts, including the Supreme Court. He can take these decisions being made by these liberal judges and put them where they belong, into the legislature. Ladies and gentlemen, we need change in America. If we don't have change soon, we're going to be in big trouble. And if we get these environmentalist, wackos, we get the wackos in the White House, they're going to stop the oil production in the United States, slow it down considerably, and increase our dependence on foreign oil. And I don't think you're going to like it very much when you have to pay $10 for a gallon of gas. And not only is that going to happen, but this North American Union that they are pushing for right now is much more of a reality than any of you want to admit. I truly believe that. And any of the candidates who are running right now, the so-called front runners, they're globalists. And what you're going to see is not only gas going to $10 a gallon, you're going to see the dollar come down and sort of equalize with the peso. I don't think you want that to happen, and goodness gracious, wait till these liberals get a hold of our health care system. Within 3 years, people who really need health care in America, you're going to be going to Mexico to find it, because Mexico will have a stronger health care system than ours. Does that not make you want to cry? It makes me want to get up and go campaign for Alan Keyes. Let me tell you about his top 4 priorities. Priority number 1 is the restoration of moral sovereignty in America. I get excited when I talk about this, because Dr. Keyes has promised that on day 1, he will issue an executive order illegalizing abortion. You say, well, how can he do that? Have you happened to read the Declaration of Independence lately? It says we are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Yes, we can put an end to the nonsense of killing our unborn in America, and Dr. Keyes will do that. Point number 2 is he wants to abolish the federal income tax and replace it with a fair tax. Point number 3, and this is a point where he is so far different from any of his colleagues, he wants to recognize and maintain the sovereignty of the borders in this great nation. Let me tell you just a little bit about 2 men I really admire, because they were working and maintaining the borders of our country. Their names are Nacho and Jose. I'm talking about Ignacio Ramos and Jose Campion. They're 2 border guards, and they shot a drug dealer in the buttocks simply because he was coming across the border once again with over 700 pounds of marijuana in his van. And the United States took this fella into one of our courts and gave him immunity to testify against Ignacio and Jose. 490 days ago, those 2 brave men were locked in prison. Locked in prison 490 days. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to do something different. We've got to put an end to this liberal idiocy that is ruining our nation. The 4th point of Dr. Keyes' priorities is simply this. He wants to recognize man and woman and the traditional marriage as the backbone of the family. And this is certainly being assaulted everywhere you look in America today. The homosexual movement is wanting to be recognized and wanting to proselytize and wanting to change the face of America, and we don't need it, and we need to put a stop to it. And Dr. Keyes has said, yes, indeed, I will do that. Here's some things I want you to do. Number 1, I want you to read my book, Don't Waste Your Vote, The Case for an Independent President, Alan Keyes. You've never seen a book easier to get your hands on and to read than this one. You go to my website, www.kingjesusradio.com, and you download it. You download it for free. You read it. If it helps you, then send me $10. I want you to read the book. If you can send me $10 and you find that the book is worth that to you, please go ahead and send me $10. But the first thing I want you to do is get your hand on that book, Don't Waste Your Vote, The Case for an Independent President, Alan Keyes. The next thing I want you to do is begin to listen to my radio program. Every day, Monday through Friday, for 2 hours, I'll be on the air. It's broadcast on the internet. The troops can hear it overseas. And all you have to do to hook into that program on the internet is to go once again to www.kingjesusradio.com. Finally, take this video and email it to 20, 40, 50 of your friends. Let's tell America what's going on. Let's tell America that they do have a choice. And let's tell America to stop thinking that Republicans and Democrats have any sane answers. They've abandoned you. You know that that's the truth. So don't vote for John McCain. Don't waste your vote. Vote for Dr. Alan Keyes on the 5th of November, and we can wake up to a proud new America. God bless America. Thank you very much for listening.